I've been talking to my parents quite a bit these past few days about the wars, the one being visited on Ukraine and the one they lived through as children in Warsaw. They witnessed the bombardment, occupation, and eventual destruction of the city where they were born. Today, watching almost live coverage on television, there are terrifying parallels, but also vast differences. When Poland was invaded in 1939 on a similarly imaginary pretext, like today's Ukraine, the rest of the world could deny, ignore, and remain oblivious. There were no visuals, no tweets, no stories coming out of a country under siege. They didn't understand the incredible sacrifice and courage of the doomed Warsaw Uprising, where women and children joined the insurgency in an attempt to stave off the eventual occupation and annihilation of the city. My dad was one of those uprising kids, eventually arrested and sent, thankfully, to a labor camp and not an extermination camp. When my parents married, they married in a church, which 10 years later still had no roof. Today, we're seeing stories of desperation, of heroism, and of the human spirit 24/7, like the young mother taking shelter in a subway tunnel, holding her infant on her lap while she spoke to Western journalists in very good English. It's not just the pictures and videos that resonate with us, it's the shocking realization for many that they are just like us, forcing us to imagine or try to imagine what it would be like if we were visited with the same relentless attack on our homes. We see Ukrainian volunteers holding what are for them unfamiliar weapons, and notice they're wearing North Face jackets or gloves, and it strikes so close to home. My parents' stories had to wait until they could be told decades later. They are eerily similar. Indiscriminate bombings of residential buildings, middle of the night arrests and executions in apartment block courtyards, food and weapons smuggled through sewer tunnels, and thousands of people fleeing, hiding in barns and farmers' fields to escape the roundups and mass graves. It continued and spread and became much worse, as we now know, but the world had the luxury of ignorance back then. There's no excuse now. From a distance, we probably know more of what is happening on the ground in Ukraine than do the people trying to defend their country. Their stories are being told as they are happening. Perhaps those stories will be enough to help turn back the vicious tide out of Moscow. I consider myself a child of the Warsaw Uprising, and I stand with Ukraine.